गुड इवनिंग मैम। मैं सुरभि राउत जलपुरा रेजिडेंट आपके पास में आज आई थी। मैं प्रोटेक्शन और रिस्ट्रेंट ऑर्डर के रिगार्डिंग मैम मेरे को आपको थोड़ा सा अपना केस समझाना था, बिकॉज इट्स अ लिटिल सेंसिटिव एंड देयर हैव बीन 14 मर्डर अटेम्प्ट्स दैट हैव बीन quashed and gone completely unattended by the UP authorities earlier. So just wanted to explain you that I don't have a lawyer yet on me, because I've not appointed a lawyer regarding the DV Acts yet, and hence it's very important for you to understand that my life and death situation all the time under the supervision of my parents is very much a credibility you'd be questioned over in case I get in case I have to bear another consequence of just warning my parents than register them as or take a legal action, or probably take a legal action against for their previous episodes and attempts as well. Firstly, I am a queer individual, and I was basically done sexuality conversion therapy, which is a banned act by Terror Cell, disguised as a temple called Bharadi Temple, based in Hamirpur, Himachal. They have pindis situated there. Pindis are the artifacts that you can find in Vaishno Shrine Board as well. They basically do witchcraft on those pindis. They chant beach mantras, and they chant mantras for their for their personal use. And whoever they've got a tiff with, they'll go and chant the mantra in their favor to harm them or whatever. So my situation has been the same. I've been a patient of feign schizophrenia since almost, I guess, 4 to 5 years now, and I've kept clean medical records of my mental health and everything, my mental health and my physical health, and everything has been very much clean on records. Uh, I used to. I was also. While I was. So I was in 20. Okay. So by profession I'm a screenwriter and a director, and I have been. I think I've fell for the trap. I didn't fall for the trap. I got bewitched in 2016, and by 2020 I had to come back to Delhi over deteriorating health. My I was an ex-employee to Times Internet. I was working as a video producer, and I used to do a lot of fashion films for them. Then back in 2020, when I came down to Delhi, I started writing, and I started pitching across myself to seek a directorial debut here and there. I wrote a lot of feature-length films and web shows that I keep pitching until now. I have Earlier I had producers back in India who were ready to back me up. Now I've got a couple of people, foreign funding, film funding societies back in UK, Canada, and a couple other producers, private and individual. I've got the distributors and their executive producers back in back in these countries. So the nature of the case has been, the abuse basically has been very much diabolic. I've had I think I was I was taken to the temple for casual visits by my parents in 2016 over financial and career advices. My life was completely healthy before visiting this temple. I was in healthy relationships, and my professional and my education was also very much, good. I was also doing quite healthy back in Bombay when my parents had started their visits to the temple, and I had no idea about it. It was I think one month leave or something. It was a casual visit to Delhi from Bombay, and during that visit, I was taken to this temple, and I remember my mother had basically sat down in front of this priest. There's this priest. There's this guy called Paramjeet, who's a Katsar, non-Hindu, and he would meditate. He would remain in a samadhi and would keep talking the predictions that he would do, that he would envision. So if he basically put his hand on your head, and during his meditation, with his closed eyes, he'll talk to you and he'll tell you what's happening in your future, what's the current block, and he'll talk the present solution about it. So my mother was talking about her own situation and stuff, and suddenly she said that I want my daughter to be married, and to a man. And until then, I was always open about my queer individuality. I never had to confront my parents as well over it, because there wasn't any such confrontations done or made before that. And I remember she said that I want her to get married to a man now that she's got a job and everything. And I was just 26 years old back then, and I had no idea that she'd be talking all of this to a stranger, that too in a temple so shady that I can't explain, and so away from house, and to somebody else than me. So that kind of felt very awkward and very very strange. And to that, the priest went on to say that uh, we won't be taking care of the her marriage and all of that. So that kind of course put her in in faint depression, and nobody really cared about it. Neither did she express that, but it was on her face that she wasn't happy about it. So things didn't feel much back then. So I went back to Bombay and I started working. I resumed my work. Then one day, then slowly, I started falling sick. I grew chronic IBS, which is extreme IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, extreme constipation, and the intensity and the degree of IBS was so much that even just half a cup of peanuts or just half a cup of nuts and so would keep me blocked under my pelvic area for like an entire day or so. This kind of turned into temper issues, and I started having conflicts at my office. And my work has never been compromised. My quality, my work quality, my professionalism is astute. It's my quality is it's untouched, and it is going to be untouched, that I can give you in writing. But beyond all of that, my social circle, which was already very much like I've always been surrounded by super senior technicians and very senior creative directors and film directors. So the interaction would already be very low, and not because there's no credibility, but because everybody respects their silence much. But beyond all of that, the people who were new to me or interns to me, or or were seeking creative liberty through a transaction of some intellect, would you know would be the agents to my temper issues a lot, because of the somatic illness that I was also going through, and was completely unaware of how to compile a literature over what's going on. Then this led me to leave my organization in 2020, and I had to come back, sorry, in 2016, and I started freelancing as an assistant director. And that didn't work out much, in spite of my experience. And I had to come back to Delhi, because back then, until 2020, my life had completely, my health was taken a toll. So I came back to COVID, and I started writing. Now I remember in 2020, Times of India had done a film on me, and they were basically they were launching a classified section in their newspaper, and I had featured to talk about their announcement section, where I spoke about myself being queer, and and I was announcing it to my parents that I'm queer, and I'd be, uh, I'm just like announcing it out, and I'd be super happy to have you, publicly accept me. Earlier, there was always a tension that what am I going to say about me getting married and all of that. And the obviously the aspiration was inside to first become something career wise, and then go on further on my choices, like so that uh, society was never against me, so society is still not against me. You can speak to anybody in our relative sorry, in our friend circle, social circle, or relationships, or relative circle. Nobody has a problem, but my parents have got their own self-made inertia about it. What will the world say and everything, and nobody cares. Only the illiterates, who are homophobic, or who've never been literate enough to be outside the closet, or to be into the world, or to be into the industries, go on to question. And I think it's just my parents who've met these kind of people. I've never met these people. So except these temple authorities back in Himachal, who kind of like, did sexuality conversion therapy on me, because the main guy whom I'm talking about, the one who stays in Samadhi, he's a queenie gay guy. He's very queenie. He's extremely feminine, and he's a eunuch. And he's not castrated. I'm really sorry. He's not castrated down there, but he's a very queenie gay guy, and he's married to a woman, and he's got a little daughter. And he goes on to advocate homophobia in a manner that the sexuality conversion therapy on me done is obviously an act that should put him under non-bailable warrants, and obviously shut the temple down for one doing it, second violating the artifact pindis. Violating the pindis by doing black magic is also an anti-national act. So these two things can are enough. Then beyond all of this, the decalogue abuse that I've been through, where my parents have been hostile enough to uh, you know uh, forcefully evict me to carry on any kind of, to even proceed any kind of uh, you know uh, legal help to escape the trauma that I'm going through because of the nexus. As whatever symptoms, whatever health symptoms that I was going through, when I shared each one of them with the psychiatrists, and I went to two government psychiatrists, and I went to one private psychiatrist, and my ordeal was always the same, that there are auditory and visually there are auditory hallucinations of extreme abusive derogatory remarks to suppress me while I'm writing. And then there is also an implication of extreme pain in my pelvic area, where I feel a huge translucent syringe basically being poked on my in my private areas to numb my pain and hypnotize me and make me go to sleep. And when I go to sleep, I am in my dreams sexually assaulted. And there are only three men who sexually assault me, and the voices all are also only of these three men who sit there in the temple. And I know, since I am gay, and since I'm being charged with a remark that is not charged to me, and since I am basically being eve teased, so obviously I understand you that what kind of remark am I being made at. I've never been in my life looked at or objectified by anybody who has been literate or in the industry that I can give you in writing. I come from a film background. I come from a background of entertainment industry, and I, regardless of whatever we see online or whatever we perceive as content on screen, and whatever we hear in terms of rumors or stories from the mainstream industry, I've been lucky enough to be covered by some very, very, how do I say, very well documented and very well read and very well recognized organizations and individual producers and artists to quash me of any kind of tangents that put me in silence over 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 any kind of you know uh, illicit act that would kind of like make me feel regressive enough to probably put out a word across than be able to you know than be able to sorry than experience the trauma and go completely silent. So keeping this in the mind, pardon me, uh, yes, the murder attempts then basically, uh, because of all these hallucinations, I went to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist just gave me sleeping pills for any kind of psychosomatic illness, uh, or neural disorientation from the normal. You're only given sleeping pills, as many as possible, and then over that your tests and stuff are done. Now the sleeping pills would partially paralyze me. I would get hemiparalysis over 2 days of intake of the dose, and following this, I was told to not by the government doctors to not worry about anything. Then because I'm absolutely fine, because my BMI and my CT scan and brain scan and everything came out to be super normal. Excuse me. Then beyond all of this, substance abuse. My parents have a now, since I remain constipated I've been, a patient of IBS, and there's a very grave narrative over why do I remain IBS, and how it really works, and what these these scammers have to do about it. It's basically about, how I remain. Sorry. So yes, being IBS stricken, and um, apart from taking laxatives, sometimes sometimes to relieve the stress of the pain, and to relieve the stress of the blockage down there, I might have to smoke a cigarette, one or two, to defecate. And I'm really sorry I'm giving you the depths of the condition, but me smoking cigarette outside the house, or very old, and I'm not a chain smoker, because I'm not a smoker, or I'm not a chain smoker because I work out, because I have no other option but to remain working out constantly, otherwise I'll bloat because of the blockage in my pelvic area. So over that, once in the blue moon, if I smoke a cigarette, or if a very old bud would be found, or very old bud of a small little joint that I've picked from the wild growth that we have in UP, just to ease the pain of the uh, the the insertion of the sensation of the big translucent syringe up my rectum, like some kind of a spike. Every time I do not react to the auditory hallucinations that are constantly going, the volume will be up. The volume will be up and down of the volume. Sorry, of the whispers of the talks. Not the whispers. The talks, clear talks, that I'll murder you, I'll kill you if you don't listen to me, and you have to sleep with me. And then they'll talk so much, the negative, so much negative, and anybody who's trying to help me to come back to the industry, or anyone who's trying to restore my career, their names will be taken, and be said that, Surbi, if you earn money, if you earn a single penny, if you don't marry a man, if you don't come and let us sleep with you in the bed, if you don't let us sleep, if you don't cooperate with us, we will kill this person, kill that person. If you follow any of the uh, lawsuits against anyone, then we'll kill this particular person in such a manner on this particular day, and all of that. So these have been the rape and death threats, from first being sexually objectified, to try changing my psyche out of fear for these men to act like, I don't know what act like, to probably, like, out of fear, get married to a man, or get in a relationship with a man, and feel like, okay, now I'm secure, rather than work on my career, which I've always been devoted to. And yes, and then against the retaliation, against ignoring everything that's going on, threat wise, getting uh, getting death threats, death and rape threats, for in the name of the associates, to for the associate, about the associates who try to help me, and to me as well. And then when I am telling, and I remember when I told the first time, I was very much irritated. I think it was around 2022 or so. Until 2022, I was visiting the temple on my own, because I wanted to have these priests, basically, these scammers, basically confess that they were actually doing things to me. And every time I would tell them that, my body is, since I've started coming to the temple, my body has been, in a very bad shape, and all my finances and everything has stopped. And I had no idea that they were doing black magic back then. I always had the auditory hallucinations of them, so I never confronted them on the auditory hallucinations. But I would always say that, my body is going through so and so, and I know it's there are sometimes faint voices that I hear in your name. It's your voice that keeps talking to me, so and so things. So they would digress the entire topic, and take it back to what's happening with the job and everything. And then whatever current project I'd be working on, in whatever stage, I would tell them. And when I'll come back, the talks for the funds and the sanctioning would happen, and everything would be positive, until the next day, when the day of the sanctioning would come. Maybe before a day, maybe a day before that, or maybe overnight, a night before it, or something, I don't know, something will happen in one of the producers houses, sometimes in the crews, in any of the crew members house, and so, and the project would be quashed. Either the money won't come, or the dates will be postponed, the artist will somehow lose the dates, or we won't get the location, there won't be permissions. So these are the things that will become, an obligation for none of the projects until over an entire decade, basically come as some kind of a, some kind of an earning in my pocket. and and that would obviously, that and that kept me, I mean, I'm an illiterate over occult practices and dark literature. I have no idea about it, so I don't even know how black magic works. So obviously, naturally, my pattern to restore my brain to normal is to work on a different work on another project, another story, and write another story and pitch that story. And that's how I wrote 15, 16 screenplays, and until now I've been pitching them. So, and it's not like that I did not try changing my career. I tried changing my line as well. I changed my line. My quality was the same, absolutely clean and absolutely, worth an eye. But my body then would be, manipulated more to remain ill and be disloyal to my performance or be disloyal to the rules of the office. And I come from a very heavy duty and very fast paced, uh, you know, uh, professional background. So my thought process, my execution pace, and my performance has to be beyond that bar. So I am adjusted, and I'm already accustomed to, to ground reality than screen 24/7, and and then probably explaining any kind of mental exhaustion from reading or writing on screen, and giving an excuse over why something didn't happen, than be how do I say? I mean, I've been accustomed to remain on sets for 2 to 3 days in a stretch, and in manners I can't explain. I've done some very if I ever get a chance to show you my CV, I've done some great work in terms of shooting films or shooting, films and fiction and non-fiction, both the formats. So yes, so all of this has been, the so this has been the entire abuse. And my parents, they're not from my background, they've not seen how they've not seen my work of environment in Bombay. They haven't seen the heavy duty work of line that I'm accustomed to in Bombay. So that kind of became, very much a reason for them to go on to say whatever about me, like you do substance abuse, you're not getting a job at the moment, or you don't have a career at the moment, or you're stuck up in your career only because I'm sure you must have been an avid substance abuser back in Bombay, over which you must be in your withdrawal symptoms at the moment because you don't have any money to fund yourself over any kind of substances, and that's why you're talking all the bullshit that you are raped by these scammers, or you're gay, or you're what was that, you're sexually abused in your dream state, or this kind of a pain is happening in your body, or that kind of a pain is happening in your body. Now it's a neural disbalance. And what do I do if I feel an entire syringe basically being poked over my rectum? Obviously, the one who's doing it will not take an accountability of it. You cannot see it unless I am not put under the UV cameras. You will not get to see if there is any astral insertion of something alien as a frequency which is different in color than the normal colors that we get to be detected as under any UV light. How would you? Obviously, you cannot detect it. So I can't explain what my who's do I mean, I can explain who's doing it because I can hear the voices of it, and because I hear the voices of three strangers who are trying to say something to me, and every time I do not react to those voices, I feel the pain of the syringe, as if as if I'm a voodoo doll, and somebody's trying to talk to the voodoo doll, and if the voodoo doll is not reacting, then you go on to pin the poke in it, then you go on to poke the pin in it and see if the voodoo doll reacts or not. Now all of this is happening in through distant hypnosis. People do clinical hypnosis to to treat patients with grave abuses and grave mental illnesses, or on the or basically being forced into any kind of illness. But this thing here, these scammers, they are doing dhyan. They are in your they are in a samadhi, in a dhyan charya all the time. So them chanting any kind of beej mantra, any kind of mantra to do whatever, that too over pindis. Pindis are your sacred stones. They've got some extremely super powers, positive, natural, supernatural powers in them. If anybody goes on to violate those energies, obviously Pindi is a sacred relic. It will leave a paranormal disturbance in the person's life who's a victim to it. And it's a clear fact that it'll give you physical harm, it'll give you financial harm, it'll also give you, and then there's also a thing called animal sacrifice in it. I lost my dog last year. My dog last year went through the same symptoms that I was going through. And I remember the day my dog died, I was in Supreme Court learning how to file a petition, and these auditory hallucinations of these men were constant in my ears since years. I was habitual of not giving any kind of heed to whatever was being said. I remember that freaking day. I went to the Supreme Court. I was coming back from over there, and I knew my dog was in a very bad state. He was constantly getting bitten by stray dogs. He was constantly going through extreme constipation that I was also going through. And he was also getting extreme psychological torture by my father and my mother as well, who would shout who my father would shout his lungs out on him, give, giving me an idea of the same psychological torture that these scammers were doing in my ears by talking dark to me, and my father by not you know being able to build no by not being able, I wouldn't say being able to believe, but by not taking any accountability to the fact that I am making efforts to get back to the industry. And I'm also going through a problem that I have stopped talking about in the house, because their remedy to that problem was keep eating until it clogs enough inside your body and comes forcefully outside. I tried that as well, and I would bloat and I would choke for 2 to 3 days without any defecation, and that was very deadly. And then I would also be beaten in and out to to be shown as a mentally ill at the SHO in Besrak Thana, and would receive a wisdom talk to the parents that do not, if you're beating, try keeping it inside your house only. Do not bring here for nothing as an excuse of why did you beat, because I would not be doing anything. I would just get beaten. My mother would provoke me to into arguments. My father will not even listen to me. He'll just put me on the wall, beat me, spit on me, strangle me, punch me, kick me, whatever that would come up his, his way of killing me. 13, 14 murder attempts as such happened. The same happened to my dog as well. When he was going through the same symptoms in the name of animal sacrifice, I was reading of what basically goes on in black magic. And animal sacrifice, physical harm, and financial destruction, these three elements basically become the core of what you say, uh, uh, black magic black magic act 2013. It's written in it. So I remember my dog was basically being sacrificed. Now when I was reading in the evening of what it is, my dog was basically being sacrificed, and my father was uh, my father during his recovery would be extremely verbally violent to my dog, who would hardly be able to see my 1 year old little dog. That was a stray dog that we had picked up. Somebody had picked up and got home, and he was already an abandoned dog. He was going through a trauma already, and then he was picked up and kept in the house, and he went through a lot of suffering as an animal sacrifice. And I remember every time I would go get him a little medicine, $50, $60, whatever little money that I would spend on his medicine, my father would beat me up in and out for taking care of him, for keeping him alive and all of that. And every time he'd by chance get bitten by stray dogs or big dogs, he'd come with me home injured and everything. My father will treat him like, I don't know, he will treat him like an animal abuser, and all his psychological recovery from all the pain and the trauma that he was already going through because of the witchcraft and the pain of the bites and everything, which would only be visible to me because of the same pattern that I would go through, the physical harm that I cannot explain, and nobody would take an accountability, and doctors would feel or fail over it. And my father would, mentally torture me. My mother would be very homophobic about life, and my entire industry would remain, helpless over how to put me back. When there's so much going on in the house, and the UP authorities are completely silent about it. So when I realized the same pattern in my dog, um, I had no other option but to, confine myself into warmth towards him. And one day I lost him. And when I was coming back uh, to home from Supreme Court, it was, I think, 30th August. 31st August was basically my mother's birthday. I remember the auditory hallucinations that were there in my ears when I was coming back from the Supreme Court to home. He went on to say, the same Queenie priest who would be in his samadhi said that, Surbhi, I've left your mother a gift. Go check. And when I reached home, my dog had fallen into the shaft from the 27th floor, and he was dead. And I think, and there was nobody at home. So over that as well, my parents created a huge scene that you killed him, you on purpose did him, you killed him, and extreme derogatory abuses and extreme, violence did not happen that day, but extreme hatred that they would murder and kill. And it was just like, my father's just another trigger away to kill me. Then the loss of the dog. Then I realized now today when I was reading the literature, it said that animal sacrifice was also one thing. And then I realized my father is silently advocating black magic, because the pattern of his psychological abuse, and first physical abuse, then psychological abuse, then covering up as a criminal his deeds outside in the market, and then suddenly over the entire decade, sorry, over the 4 5 years, my systemic financial sabotage, and over every act of violence and every act of debauch, every act of defamation done to me, the strategic, what you say, the strategic ignorance of the UP authorities, Bisrak Thana authorities back in Bisrak Thana, and it was the SHO Sunil Kumar and the ACP Diksha, them, just encouraging me to do whatever he's basically planning in terms of violence and everything back at home only. And my father picking up all the fights, all the things that he cannot take an accountability over. And neither could he even once, um, confess and accept, apart from my mother, that yes, they did talk about my marriage. And when I told them that priests are trying to do things with me in the dreams and everything, they started calling me mentally ill. They started forcing me for medicines. They started forcing me for private doctors. When I said the kind of illness I am in and the way I am, the way I keep myself healthy, I can take any day a government hospital, put the report on the to the court as well of everything that's happening or that's being done or that I hear or that I know. These three priests, these scammers are doing to me. You don't have to spend like lakhs or so on my treatment. And on one hand, my father would keep crying that, not crying, like my father would keep saying that your medicines are 15,000, 20,000, so and so if we go to a private doctor. And then on the other hand, he would beat me that you're not going to the private doctor. And after the act of violence, after the episodic violence, when I would report the same and I would get no FIR or no action on my parents, I would have to walk up without any money. I would have to walk up to the government hospital, get myself treated, put the report in the petition, and put myself clean out, because the reason, the cause to fight would be nothing. My mother provoking me into argument, and my father just coming in and making sure that I'm beaten black and blue for my mother to be, wanting something in the name of marriage, and me reacting or denying over it, and then he coming in and saying nothing about it but beating me in and out, saying that I hate your face, you are a भिखारी, तेरी औकात नहीं है, uh, तेरा you're a corporate bitch, tera, and all the kind of galis you can ever expect. And I come from a and I come from a background, from a professional background, from such organizations where nobody has ever dared speak to me like this before. Corporate bitch is such a huge thing to my head. I am very rogue when it comes to any kind of setback uh, in work, but I'm not a bitch as a as a nature. That I can give you in writing. So these are the things that have kind of like piled up as an emotional setback in my life, and I'm somebody who's meditated on Buddhist principles for a good long time. Now today I'm in a kind of condition because of this case not working, that I can't even uh, you know uh, uh, meditate, only because my amygdala gets hijacked and I'll get choked. I'll start feeling the pain of the rectum, sorry, pins in my rectum again. Somebody would be groping me. All the energies that I cannot see, or these people that I've done, these camels that I've done, they'll come as, some kind of a claustrophobia around me. My parents will be discovered as extremely anxiety and panic stricken individuals around me, and they've become so illiterate with time. I don't know what's gotten into them, but yes, alcohol consumption on such a level that what are they beating me over, or what are they talking, or what are they arguing, or the kind of blatant claims that I will kill you, I will murder you, and the extreme amount of spitting on my face on things that people sit down over and discuss, them shouting and howling their lungs out and defaming me and forcing me an eviction over in such a violent way during violent every violent episode within 1 or 2 days, like on every 1 or 2 days, and then suddenly buying a house over extreme financial degradation and regression. And my 4 5 6 years of religious devotion and investment in pitching across foolproof scripts and plans and revenue plans not working out even for a single second, and my health not coming back to normal, my my friends settled overseas suddenly distancing themselves away over everything that's going on, and me explaining them, and then me of course also getting death and rape threats about them, that we are situated in India and will do so and so psychologically, will create a psychological warfare in the head of the person who's trying to who's based outside overseas and is trying to uh, you know trying to help you come outside. So my entire 10 years wasted, destroyed against the migration to overseas, then my entire decade destroyed over financial credibility as a loyal, citizen who should be migrated. Then my entire career sabotage against the kind of films that I write. I don't even write vulgar stuff. I write for film festivals. I write for CD film festivals. So my entire psyche for the festival circuit is very broad in terms of any kind of genre you take. So, and I write for global audience, and I write for and when I write, I keep channels in my head, so I understand the guideline implications of every kind of thing that I'm writing, and I write some very deep stuff because I've done some good amount of meditation and I've done transcendental meditation, so I understand the tangents of supernatural powers and all of these. So my writing is influenced like that, and I do a lot of action, and I write a lot of action drama. So there is no chance that I cannot have any of the pitches be go wrong. And yet, over so much of violence with me and systemic ignorance to my health and zero legal or medical help from the authorities, my father manages to buy a house the third time, I think the second time. And I remain like an Abla Nari who is on papers penniless, experienceless, and alone, and is bewitched by the violation of three artifacts, by the violation of Indian artifacts, by a non Hindu temple that's been operating as a terror cell since 40 years to I don't know what state, but a victim of sexuality conversion therapy and being framed as, I don't know, some kind of a witch for being myself. So that's why I was saying, madam, that uh, you know, you, whatever you get to hear on Monday from my parents, please be, very well aware of the fact that when they'll come back in the house, there is going to be an episode of extreme hatred, which either will be silent in nature until they are triggered to do something to me, or there will be, the moment they enter, there will be an episode of my father throwing me out with my stuff, not caring about the cops or anything, and just harming me, or my mother trying to put me in some kind of an argument and seek my father to act upon with something violent that she feels justified for the provocation that she's done. So these are the things that I am bound to, and currently I'm penniless. So be able to go to Himachal for the hearing on first to talk about uh, the Black Magic Prevention Act 2013 in my case, 377 unnatural sex, the dream state, sexual abuse, and 344 wrongful confinement, the manifestation of each in the physical world where my father has been, physically diabolic to me, wrongfully evicting me outside the house, and mentally and emotionally harassing me and forcing me into take medication for mental illness when free medical treatment is available. And the free medical treatment has been, has stated me completely normal, and I've put down the reports in the petition as well. Seeking over all of this, seeking 500,000, 2,000, or 1,500, 800, 700 bucks from my mother daily, and be a victim of her extreme obsessive, uh, along with my father's. Legally, they should not be interfering, of course. And since I have not filed DV and I'm struggling in career, I'm trying to restore myself again. I have not even asked for any compensation. And the way they are, I can't even ask for 5,000 for an entire month or week to pass, to help myself restore my career over again by doing interviews in person wherever required. um, I have to go through uh, I have to go through their psychologically obsessive, you know, uh, questioning with me, or where are you, why are you so and so, why are you late, whom are you sitting with, and all that. It's so abnormal. I'm a 34-year individual who's trying to make myself back to the normal over everything that's going on, and it's just me all alone standing in this entire thing. The whole world at the moment feels anti me. I have no friends left. I have random producers on a work group, on a crew call group, that I keep looking opportunities on, and I keep discussing work over, and I keep calling, film societies to listen to my narrations, and any of the old folks who wish to help me over things, only they're left to, listen to me, and if they're also out of any opportunity to help, I have no other option but to, uh, you know, um, remain silent about what's going on in my life, and me seeking all the time seeking a way to escape this setback, this nexus. So these are the things that at least, so these are the things that I basically wanted to put out to Lakshmi ma'am as well, and get some kind of a, you know, at least have a, at least have my right to be in the house, un un attended with violence. Pardon me over the loss of vocabulary of this, but yes, I mean, I haven't done anything wrong. So why should I be like evicted of the house? I don't do any drugs and stuff. The hemp that's grown all wild out there. It's so important. I thought of getting all the hemp out and take it to an industry, a textile industry, process it, and start hemp textile or hemp oil seed, because it's so healthy for the body. All the hemp in UP is completely important. You can smell it, it's so fresh that anybody can tell. I've seen dogs eating hemp. I've seen dog eating hemp leaves. So they're important. So all the claims of drug abuse or substance abuse, to be claiming the scammers to be raping me and all of that, and then not being able to believe that something like this can also happen, is something that has left me in a state that I don't know where to, how to deal with my parents who have never seen a doctor over their mental health care act. And by the way, my brother, who is an epileptic patient, my brother was also a victim of, until 2022, was a victim of grave violence by my father, who caused him epileptic seizures many times for his extremely bad financial state, against his habit of investing in online trading. And my parents would always remain in a tiff over his habit of online trading. And every time he would have no money or so, he would ask my brother for the money, and he would not have any money, and so he would be given a physical episode. So I had to, so my brother had to, look for a space. And I remember the day he was shifting out, a night before that, my father was extremely physical on him, and I had to stop my father, and I was also given a beat. I was also beaten to, for interfering, and he somehow managed to leave the house. Then I tried, and during my job, which was absolutely fine and healthy, I was given extreme violence again to fall sick, and I had to leave the job as well. I mean, I had to leave the job within 4 months. That was, I think, last year. I was working for a real estate company called Ace in Noida, and yes, so my father is mentally ill. There are, there are recordings of each murder attempt, applications filed to the police as well, and video recording, audio recording of each episode on the writ petition put. Then my mother, if you ever make her sit down and question her of what she is or who she is, as a thought process about every kind of act that's done, the kind of accusations, the kind of basis you'll have to basically believe in, sorry, the grounds that she'll give they will not be, legit enough to call me a harm to anybody in the world, or to the people in the house and all of that. And then the Human Rights Commission. Now I have to explain Human Rights Commission that the artifact violation has basically left me paranormally parapsychologically disturbed. And my now currently uh, I take laxative only to relieve myself, and I do a lot of workout, and I keep my fingers crossed for any of the notations of the projects to basically be sanctioned, than have any of these scammers basically reciting any kind of mantra to stop my work. And this insight of, oh my god, it's the artifact violation, over this entire decade long abuse, to talk about the first, for all the paranormal disturbance in life, uh, was basically an awakening back in Vaishno Devi, when I think 2 weeks back for the new house we went there and thanked the goddess for the house. And it was constantly throughout the it was in my head constantly, what am I to do with this case? Like, obviously I'm losing my faith in everything, right? Because these men are just not leaving me, and I don't know where the case is going, because the Human Rights Commission has, I don't know, they don't have the intellect to understand the neuro jurisprudence nature of this entire case. So until unless that's taken care of, I don't know where to go. So then I suddenly had an awakening that it's the artifacts that are being chanted black magic over. So obviously it'll have a paranormal disturbance, and a Kutsar and a non-Hindu is doing violation to the artifact. So obviously it is an anti-national move, and if the place is on over the artifact since 40 years, then it is, a terror cell. It's a nexus. And you've just discovered sexuality conversion therapy and psychological warfare, but you don't even know if they've conducted murders or rape attempts or so before and after. And the way your dog died, and the way you've recorded the entire abuse since 10 years, obviously it does make a sense that they are a nexus and all of that, and they'll never confess it unless somebody takes a charge of the case and does a thorough investigation over it. So these are the things that I wanted to discuss with Lakshmi Madam. And one more thing, in 2022, when I was going through all of this, there was a financial scam that basically happened in my life. And these people, until 2022, my visits were basically about what's going on in my body, and you guys have to, and I know it's you guys have done something, so you better confess in time to the scammers. This would be my sole reason to go to the temple and try getting answers over, but they would always, digress the entire content to what's happening to you professionally. And when I'll tell them this is going on so and so, the entire sanctioning would stop. So I remember in 2022 I had borrowed almost like 1,75,000 from my people, from my friends, to invest in a project where I was being it was where I was being hired as a chief assistant, as a first assistant director. Now my entire resume was basically, my entire experience had been of chief assistant director only. And this was an action film that was being shot in India and overseas, which country I don't remember, but it was, I think, US or Dubai, one of these two countries. And uh, I had requested the producer to please elevate my profile somehow, and he said, okay, you know what I'll do is that I cannot ask my producer. I was speaking to the associate producer, not the producer. So my associate told me that associate basically told me that your passport is my passport had expired a month back before this offer came in. It was an offer on WhatsApp only. So I remember I had seen the profile of the person who had put up the post of the requirement, and they had a decent profile. So, and I was in Noida, they were in Bombay, so we were interacting online. So I paid. So yes, so all the visa verification and all the passport renewal and everything basically costed me 1,75,000. And all of this money was basically transferred online, like 1k, 2k, 1k, 2k maximum every day, until this entire, and I was given the condition that this entire money will come back to you along with the agreement, uh, along with the contract, sorry, the day the entire amount that I need is paid, and you sign the contract, and 10% of the salary as an advance would be paid to you. Now, this did feel fishy, but I had worked before without agreements, and I had so small little projects I had basically picked up before without any agreements back in Bombay when I used to work as a freelancer. So I did not care much about it, and I thought that okay, I'll just pay in, and I know the address of the office and everything, and I'll I'll start. I think I'll anything goes, and we were in constant connection. That producer I had, obviously, it was the first time that I was speaking to him, but I was so much harrowed in my house due to zero finances in my pocket and the health that I was going through. And my father was back in Gulf, and my father was in Gulf back then. He was working as a low key truck driver over there, some tempo driver. He would take up the load of one company to another. He was working like that over there. I don't know, he was working as a quality manager also, and a driver delivery guy as well. I don't remember, but something like this. He was working at a he was on a low key job over there, low key profile, and I was going through my own financial destruction over here. So to escape all of that, I grabbed a word with this guy, and he introduced himself as a producer individually, independently, and currently engaged on this particular feature film where he was working as an associate producer. So I gathered all the money from here and there, I borrowed the money from friends, and I gave it to him. Then it came out to be a scam. Now, before giving all the entire 1,75,000, I think I had paid 60,000 or so and stuff. Then I went to the temple again because my body was getting choked and stuff, and the auditory hallucinations had grown up. I went to the temple and I spoke to them that I am going through so much in my body, and it's just not coming to normal. You have to leave the body because it feels very heavy and it feels hypnotic all the time. Like I feel dizzy all the time, and it has started since the day I've started coming to temple only. So I don't know where to head with it. He digressed the topic, the same Samadhi guy. He digressed the topic to learning of what's happening in my professional life. And I said, the so and so is happening. This particular person is basically has asked me this much amount of money, and it's a 60-day of an engagement. And half the film is in India, half the film is outside. And I'm planning to like do it. Instead of 30 days, I'll be planning to do it for 60 days, like two months of a schedule. And then he went on to say, yeah, it's absolutely, it's very positive. It's absolutely safe. You should go ahead and do it. You should not worry about anything. And I was like, okay. I mean, I didn't need a word over it, but fine, if you're giving, I'll take it. Then I came back and I paid the rest of the money, and it turned out to be a scam. So it took now the current situation of the scammer is that he's on a non-bailable arrest warrant, and tomorrow is the hearing. Bisrat Thana, the entire case is registered in. He made a fool of the cops and me for over 3 years. The FIR was filed in 23, and now tomorrow's the hearing. If he's not there, then I don't know what happens further. Then he'll be, I think, PO will be filed or something. I don't know. So that I have to check. And if I had got this money in time, I think I would have migrated to a different city, started my life again, and done something. But since the artifacts have not been retrieved, since the and until unless I know until unless the artifacts are not retrieved by the actual temple, Bharadi temple, which is situated in Maharashtra, and uh, this replica is basically based by you know uh, non-Hindu priests who running the terrace. Uh, until unless these artifacts are basically retrieved by either the Vaishno shrine that do not let anybody do black magic, or the Baradi temple back in Himachal, the actual temple that obviously I know will not let anybody do black magic over. These men will, for money, greed, whatever kind of nexuses they run, they'll keep chanting mantras, and they'll keep targeting strangers, number people or masses basically for psychological warfare and loot as much as they can from the country. I remember over this entire decade-long abuse, apart from the auditory hallucinations of extreme derogation, extreme negativity and derogatory remarks over my sexuality, over my clean, cleansed spirit and celebrated reality. There were a lot of predictions of Sindoor project, something like terror bases that were found in Sindoor project basically being heard as random talks in my ears of a Pakistani dialect. Then Ahmedabad plane crash. A week before the crash, I had a lot of prediction. There was an entire chaos of the cockpit being heard in my ear, and I could not obviously make any sense. But there was but there was a blast of something falling. Then there was the cockpit destruction that happened. The sorry the verbal split that the pilots would be in during the drop that was felt, and I couldn't make sense of it. But when the crash came into the news, I was stunned because the talks, the auditory hallucinations had suddenly turned into such technical language that I couldn't make any sense, and it felt like something chaotic is happening. And I just ignored it. I was writing the script and I ignored it, thinking it would be just some other random glitch that would have happened with the scammers. And there's got to be some cross connection that's going on in my ears, and I have nothing to do but remain ignorant to it. Then the Red Fort blast that happened, uh, I think one and a half week earlier, the blast, there was whatever little I've planted the bomb here, I've planted the bomb there. Such things were basically being heard, and I had zero sense obviously back then. I was terrified, of course, because I knew something was going on, and I didn't know what to do about it, because UP authorities had not taken any kind of action in my violence, in my episodes of violence before. And explaining the parents is another, is like a is like a suicide attempt. And then there is nobody in Delhi as well who could uh, believe me over this entire narrative that I'm hearing auditory hallucinations or of something which is predicted to be an accident. Because I don't have that psychological status or professional status to claim somebody privately and explain them that this is going on. Second, the people that sit over as lobby workers, as lobbies to these anti-terror cells, uh, they are I don't know, they're very much busy with their narratives, that suddenly jumping into a new narrative and doing something about it kind of like takes them a lot of psyche to gather and sit with a stranger with a new narrative, and then invest their time and yeah and something. And then obviously my entire background of violence and stuff would, I think, would have been, I don't know, plus my penniless condition, my penniless reality. So these are the things that you might have to take into consideration over all the claims that they would want to make. Call me mentally ill, call me in my own zone to sit down with a private doctor against everything that I going through, and they forced me to, and then they had to do a lot of violence because I would not listen to them. And then their never recorded claims of substance abuse, and then my and then their unexplainable anxiety and panic over the fact that I wish to migrate overseas, and then their inertia that I am gay. And obviously, I know it's not legal in India, but I have no other option but to get outside. And had it been had it been uh, had it been clean by my parents to not have put such demands to a scam, to a black magic practitioner about my marriage, I think by now I would have been settled somewhere overseas and doing a great film of mine. I would have been an established film director by now. So these are the regrets that I have to put up at Human Rights Commission for destroying my, for letting a terror cell basically operate, religiously in this country, and destroy my entire career, and destroy my right to life and right to freedom and all my human rights basically. So at the moment, I would request you to kindly suggest my parents to put up CCTV footage camera inside the entire house. uh, let the feed of the footage be delivered uh, over over every weekend to either District Thana or at the police commissioner office until this entire case is basically being being until this entire case is heard at the Supreme Court. If human rights commissions happen to fail, I'm also putting up uh, uh, and of course, if they don't, if they cannot, and an order and a stay order in the house, because I do wish to um, track my parents of what's happening or where are they headed, because some very mysterious sudden surge of money or sudden um, behavioral uh, patterns are observed in the temper and the psyche of my parents, and it's very it's very, it's like it's it's nothing healthy. And then beyond all of this, um, the kind of people that have become my parents' circle is just uh, it's I don't know, the way they're losing the way they've lost their normalcy, as and the way they sound all illiterate. It's just it's very shameful, and it's very embarrassing. We've lost our entire relative circle, because of all of this. All the literates in our house have distanced us, and I haven't seen the literates in our house in a decade, an entire decade. And every time we happen to stumble online and stuff, it's such an emotional moment that I just cannot explain of how much my parents have lost because of in terms of integrity over this entire decade, because of the temple, because of these scammers who are violating the artifacts. And it feels like there's a spiritual consequence of neglecting your bloodline, or I won't say a bloodline, but neglecting your um, neglecting the righteous out of I don't know what, uh, for the wrong to basically be operating. That's one. Second, yes, so stay order in the house, no eviction, no violence, and no, you know, provocation of argument or so, whatever, until this case is over. Also, being presented at the case only when the court orders, and not forcing for any medication or any claims of mental illnesses, because I'm a healthy person, and I'm very much aware of the fact that if I have to migrate, I have to put my medical records everywhere. So whatever goes on, whatever little faint schizophrenic symptoms that I'm left with, I have sleeping pills for them put up. And anytime I'm going through any kind of attack, panic attack, anxiety attack, I can take a pill and I can go to sleep. But since I meditate and since I write a lot, I have a pattern. I have a fixed pattern of normal, healthy. Uh, I'm so sorry. Yes, a normal, healthy routine I have, and I can again give you my entire full BMI, my mental checkup, my brain scan, my rest of the body scan, the whole body scan, and show myself clean. And beyond all of this, if I am being filed a suit to be thrown outside the house because they don't have a valid reason, but they are spiritually exhausted to see me like this and they no more can take an accountability, or whatever the reasons might be, I am planning to get out. I'm desperately planning to get out of the country. All my drafts are basically for foreign countries, and I am aggressively looking seeking producers to fund any of my films so that I can completely exit this trauma. But to on my back to not find my younger brother or any of my folks, any of the parents, further violated for realizing or leaving the artifacts at a terror cell and not helping the government to basically retrieve the artifacts from an entire nexus of scammers to back where the shrine boards do not themselves also touch the artifacts and cleanse the spaces by using the energies, uh, just to not find my people, these three people in my life, and further my friends and my associates, not affected by everything that I leave behind. I need to have the artifact retrieval as well before I leave the country, and I think that's the only way I can my entire life can restore back to normal. So again, legal protection order, some little money without any problem until any of my projects basically gets sanctioned and I don't have to find anything in terms of I don't have to beg for money ever again. At the moment, I'm 34 years old, and the kind of human I am, I can explain you. I'm very expensive, but because of everything that's going on, I hardly remain. I hardly keep. I mean, I hardly have anything more than $1,000 in my account for an entire week or an entire month. And every time I have to go to Himachal to any of the Mahila Thana or any of the police follow up or anything, only my heart knows of kind of verbal abuse I'll have to go through while asking for the money, like $500 or so, just to, and I have to travel Himachal to Delhi and everything in within 500, within the range of 500,000 only. So I don't have a scope over there. I can't, every time I go, every time I reach at odd hours, I have no space to sleep there, and I can't take any lodge or anything. I remain in the police stations. I sleep outside at the bus stop and all of these things, and the amount of degradation I've faced inside, and the way I have to look for places where I can charge my phone and remain busy on scripts all the time, just to just to avoid any uneasy environment of my head. Only my heart knows of what I've been through, and the trauma of my dog is also the way he died, and then and the condition, and in the condition the way he's dead, and the way my friends are, 24/7 narrated as the next target to any death or rape threats in case I proceed any of the legal procedures is a trauma only my heart understands. So these are the things that I don't want to put down to my parents, because I don't want to keep any emotional attachment anymore further. So again, in the petition, I have put down one, artifact retrieval; second, sexuality conversion therapy on these scammers; third, disowning of parents. So if they wish to disown me, if they wish to evict me from the house, they will please tell them that they will have to go through suits and they will compensate me rightfully, so that I don't have to uh, you know uh, be penniless on the roads because of them only. Then and in case they're not a victim, in case none of the suits are basically being filed, and in case I'm not being given, and in case I'm just and in case you're just warning them and telling them not to touch her again, or argue, or don't, or don't kill her and all of that, and just give the footage until the entire thing is over and you have to live outside the house or be somewhere else, find the find yourself an accommodation on your own and all of that, then the money has to be paid, because obviously this I did not plan myself as a victim for money. I would rather commit suicide if I have to design myself as a victim. I mean, I can I don't want to explain the kind of human I am. I'm a very happy-go-lucky guy. But if somebody goes on to be disturbing me, I have my right to talk about it, then cry about it. And that's why maybe my father finds me to be a bitch, because one, neither am I dying. Second, my hopes to remain literate and remain in professional circle all healthy and physically sound is some kind of a, I don't know, some kind of a problem to my mother and father both. So I know this sounds very rogue, like whose parents would want it, but I know my parents can want it. Third, and my father has called me a lot of things, it still does not get off my trauma. Uh, from a beggar to a eunuch to whatnot, and yes, henceforth, beyond all the physical and psychological harm that I've gone through, the kind of tangent that has developed with my parents, I have the right to ask for legal disownment that the Supreme Court will take care of, or I want it in written on certificate that I've been disowned, and so that tomorrow when I migrate outside, I nobody anybody does black magic. I've known only one temple in the entire country that has done black magic on me. Anybody else apart from them, from the jail, once they're sent to the jail, if I go on to get again bewitched, then my parents should not be in the picture at any cost. That's one. So that's an affirmation that the legal uh, that disowning is basically nothing to do with her again. And now I just realized while saying it that disowning me will obviously entitle me to whatever they have rightfully to compensate me with, right? So I'll take that money. On the basis of that money, I will move out or I will invest. Over that investment, I'll be able to start my life again. I don't think I would have taken any kind of things on my heart as a trauma if I was not physically violated by my father, or would have not so much that all the episodes turned out into murder attempts. So keeping this in the mind, and if this was to be about just the money, then I can show you my work that I keep pitching. I can tell you the kind of narratives I have. I think it's just an assurance that once that terror cell is detected by the cops, once the government acts on that terror cell who does black magic to people and their work for money and extortion, once that is under the scrutiny, once that's under the spotlight, we will in a second take Surbi back into normal money making circles and healthy lifestyle. If she's getting beaten, violated, and stuff, we are as much hurt as she is. But since we cannot have a word about it to the government, we are vulnerable and helpless as a dog. That's why if UP authorities go on to ignore me and wait for my murder to happen, then I would suggest kindly take action in time, because Human Rights Commission has to be explained that Black Magic Protection Act 2013 validates the scammers to be jailed on a non-bailable account for violating the artifact and doing so much to me. And out of all and everything, there are only two things that are very grave to me as an understanding. One, the loss of my dog. Second, a friend of mine is based in Canada, who is constantly, and she's a college friend, we were best friends, and she's constantly told in my ears that if you follow any kind of legal procedure against us, she over there will go through the same psychological warfare that you've been a victim to, and she'll be murdered there in Canada. And Canada currently is under tension already. And she was here in India 2 years back, and I had told her partially the story that was going on, and she was terrified, but she tried helping, but she was given extreme panic and anxiety attack. Over that, we went into a conflict, and obviously systematically we had to distance ourselves. Then once she went back to Canada, we were in faint touch. Within that faint touch, she was basically working out with the company of how to help me get a job there, or get at least remote work for them, to be for a little pocket money in my life. And I remember I started getting extreme death and rape threats in her name in my ears by these scammers only. And I had to um, obviously explain her the same, that so and so is going on about you and stuff, and she was terrified. And she stays alone in Canada. She doesn't have her parents there, and she's got only one old mother in Dwarka, whom she's very least in touch with, and she works as a writer over there. So she stays alone. So hers for her, and she was in the middle of and she was back then an immigrant. She hadn't gotten a PR visa, so all these death and rape threats had uh, got both of us so much terrified that we blocked each other. And then to safeguard her PR, I had to put a lot of requests to the Canadian embassy here and there in India and in Canada to safeguard her PR. And so is my petition. So, and these are the claims that are basically there in her name. So it'll be, and then I had to tell a lot of people on Facebook as well that so and so is going on with me, and her name is being taken like this. So you all, remain like a guard to her and keep her safe and everything through our mutual contacts and everything. And while back in UP, all the violence that was going on, every episode of violence was basically recorded by me to gain any kind of help from the outside. And all of that was basically recorded on YouTube. I had put up seeking help on YouTube, and I had put up everything online. And I realized that nobody reacted to it, but everybody was sad, silently mad about it. And why nobody reacted? Because everybody who tried reacting to it was basically put up into a lot of distress, mental harassment or professional harassment. And that's why nobody reacted to it, but remained, you know, there like a silent support, that we are there on WhatsApp, or we are there in case there's any kind of emergency, you can come running and all of that. Uh, so the people who were back in Bombay, they couldn't help much. I told you, for professional restoration, until and unless the terror cell is, given the punishment, nobody wishes to take a risk with me or with the entire crew. If God forbid, if anybody dies, we don't know where to head, or for whatever reasons. And the relatives, the ones who wanted to be there, they've been there. The ones who wanted to distance, they distanced. And I haven't been very much open to my relatives as well, the entire case. Neither about my parents as a behavioral symptom, as a behavioral attempt, uh, until unless somebody got to know through any of the episodes recorded online. So this is what the entire case is, and I've explained you. I'm really request you to please be very much careful and thorough of my condition, and then take any kind of decision in my name on Monday, because reporting my parents to cops is nothing but another murder attempt, and extreme mental and verbal harassment followed throughout the week, and the uh, and then the and them falling, and then them my parents falling ill out of their age, because of their age, and all of that is just another episode that nobody knows. And then my so yeah, a little money to let me be at the Supreme Court and all of these, wherever I need to go. And all my legal aid is free. I've never given any money to any of the lawyers. I've never earned enough to afford any good lawyer over it. So whatever senior lawyers or whatever little legal aid that I've got, it's all through 8 cells. So again, you know, um, right to stay in the house, right to be free, right to be myself, and right to migrate anywhere in the country, in the world, and right to go anywhere, roam around anywhere in the country till the time I'm not a terrorist, and till the time I'm not harming any of the anybody. And I'm a very silent person otherwise. I don't even argue much. I don't even talk much to begin with. So any kind of so yes, me being silent also has been, one reason for my parents to be uh, try coming and talking and picking up fights on things that my traumatized brain can't even process. So yes, these are the things that I'd need your help over, to keep them off me physically and psychologically. That's all. Thank you.